Good evening and a very warm welcome to your evening news bulletin with Television Tonga News. Making headlines, His Majesty King Leopold VI unveils Tupu High School's memorable plaque to mark Golden Jubilee. His Majesty King Leopold VI will officially open the Free Wesleyan Church of Tonga's 90th conference this Thursday, and more than 200 people selected on the New Zealand Specific Access category for 2013. These and more stories together with the latest in sports and weather forecasts are later on in this bulletin. I'm Fatai Whainga'a with your news for tonight. His Majesty King Leopold VI unveiled the memorable plaque to mark Tupu High School's Golden Jubilee at the Centennial Church in Nuku'alofa. The memorable stone is situated inside the Centennial Church, where the Tupu High School was first set up. His Majesty King Leopold VI unveiling Tupu High School's Golden Jubilee memorable plaque. Presenting at the ceremony was Her Majesty Queen Anasfa'u and Her Royal Highness Princess Pilolewatuita and Lord Tuita. In making the vote of thanks, Prime Minister Lord Tuivano acknowledged Tonga's success in education. Tonga has made it to the top, with most of her people graduating with degrees with distinction and honours in various fields of study. Tupu High School has produced many reliable and trustworthy people, and they have not only worked for the government and the church, but they also contribute to the well-being of the kingdom. The President of the Free Wesleyan Church, Reverend Dr. Ahio, led the Thanksgiving service and paid tribute to the church and Her late Majesty, Queen Salote.
It was an ideal choice of the Free Wesleyan Church of Tonga and our beloved Queen Salote Tupu III that the Tupu High School was established at the Centennial Church, and we assemble here today to offer our divine service of thanksgiving for its 50th anniversary.
The ceremony was held last Saturday and witnessed by hundreds of ex-students and current Tupu High School's students. Attending Saturday's ceremony were nobles of the realm, ministers of the ground, diplomatic corps, and many guests. The four-day Golden Jubilee celebrations of Tupu High School closed with a farewell choral night held at the Centenary Church, Nuku'alofa. His Majesty King Leopold VI will officially open the Free Wesleyan Church of Tonga's 90th annual conference on Thursday. This is according to information from the Free Wesleyan Church office, saying that this year's theme is Know, Believe and Live by the Teaching of the Bible. In the meantime, the church leaders' pre-conference will start tomorrow. Conference representatives from abroad and the outer islands are already in Nuku'alofa for this annual meeting. Free Wesleyan Church Annual Conferences for 2013 will end next Tuesday. The Committee of the Whole House this morning has passed the votes of the Ministry of Police, Prisons and Fire Services for the next financial year 2013-2014. The value of the budget estimate for the ministry is around 15 million pa'anga. Kalolaine Tonglava with that report.
According to the Honourable Minister of Police, Prisons and Fire Services, Josefa Tutafaiva, they requested for an additional 800,000 pa'anga for the ministry, which the majority of the expenses goes to the salaries of the staff and also staff retirement. According to the Minister of Police, there are no major changes towards the money that has been divided for his ministry. Meanwhile, he said that the police commissioner and staff of the ministry are working hard to gain back the trust of the members of the Legislative Assembly and also the people of Tonga. This is because some people have lost their trust from the ministry based on some of the shortfalls of the ministry. The Honourable Police Minister also spoke of the number of staff of his ministry, which is recorded around more than 400 staff compared to the total population of Tonga, which is more than 100,000. Mr. Tutafaiva says they're trying to do their best in carrying out their duties in order to keep law and order in the country. However, this is the 15th vote, which has been passed by the Committee of the Whole House. Radio and Television Tonga News understands 7 votes are yet to be discussed in the House. Reporting for Television Tonga News, I'm Kalolaine Tonglava.
Out of the total of 7 bills relating to revenue services in the kingdom, the Legislative Assembly decided to hand down 1 bill to be discussed by the Committee of the Whole House. However, the members of the House passed 6 of these bills. It includes the number 7 bill for 2013, which is a bill for an act to provide some minor amendments to the Revenue Services Administration Act. The second bill approved is the number 8 bill for 2013, which is a bill for an act to amend the Revenue Administration Act. It also includes the number 10 bill for 2013, which is a bill for an act to amend the Consumption Tax 2013. The fourth bill approved by the House is the number 11 bill, which is a bill for an act to amend the Excise Tax Act 2013. The House also approved the number 12 bill for 2013, which is a bill for an act to amend the Excise and Duty Act. The last bill that was approved by the members of the House is the number 13 bill for 2013, which is a bill for an act to amend the Duty Act 2013. About 249 people from Tonga have been selected under New Zealand's Pacific Access category for 2013, but they have to meet all requirements under this program before leaving Tonga to New Zealand. This opportunity is given to some of the Pacific Island countries every year, including Tonga. Sinlato reports.
In a telephone interview with Radio and Television Tonga News, Immigration New Zealand Manager for the Pacific and Americas, Alan Berry, says this program gives the Pacific people opportunity to apply for residence visas in New Zealand. This year, Tonga was given a quota of 250. Alan Berry explains this year's Pacific Access category.
Just completed the first part of the process, and that's where people register to go into the ballot. And just a couple of weeks ago, we selected the number in terms of those people that we will now formally take to the next stage, and that's the invitation to apply for residence in New Zealand.
He pointed out some of the important criteria that the local applicants need to accomplish, including a permanent job in New Zealand, plus good health and good behaviour. If all the requirements are met by the successful applicants, their resident visa can be issued within a month. Also taking part in the New Zealand government's Pacific Access category are Kiribati and Tuvalu, who have been given a 75 quota, together with Samoa with 1,100 quotas. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sinlatu.
The two parties involved in the appeal of the decision to discharge 3 accused initially implicated in the death of New Zealand Police Kali Fungawaka are debating their case in court. The appeal of the Grand Prosecutor Sione Sisfa argued against the decision of Principal Magistrate Silas Murphy discharging 3 police officers initially charged for manslaughter and grievous bodily harm in connection with the death of Mr. Fungawaka. Sinlato with more on that story.
The discharged police officers are Tevita Vakalahi, Fatai Faletau and Manu Tuivai. Magistrate Murphy made his decision following the preliminary inquiry in February. The Crown's appeal is based on the assumption that there was no expression of agreement between the accused in committing the crime alleged, to which there was no requirement for the parties to have an agreement. According to the prosecutor, there was a joint enterprise between the accused to cause Fungawaka's death. Counsel Ofa Bawono for Tevita Vakalahi says his objection will apply to the 3 accused, Vakalahi, Tuivai and Faletau. Bawono told the court that his submission is based on Section 36 of the Magistrate Act, but Sisfa says that amendment to Section 36 was passed and became effective last December prior to the preliminary inquiry held in February. Section 36 is about the roles of the Attorney General, with the Chief Justice in reviewing any case being acquitted by the Magistrate Court, focusing on those who have been discharged. According to Bawono, the Crown cannot appeal in regards to the Act. The debate over the decision releasing the trio in connection with the death of Kali Fungawaka continues in Supreme Court. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sinlatu.
There's a slight increase in the prices of petroleum goods for this month until July. This is compared with the prices of May and June. A statement from the government's competent authority says the highest hike was an increase of 1.2 of the price of petrol, The official price of the petrol up to July is 2 pa'anga and 75 seniti per litre. Meanwhile, the price of diesel also increases by 0.59% rather, and now stands at 2 pa'anga and 80 seniti per litre. The price for kerosene has the lowest increase of 0.8%. At present, the price of kerosene stays at 2 pa'anga and 16 seniti. The changes of the local petroleum prices are determined by the movement of prices in the Singapore market. One of the reasons for the slight increase is the weakening state of Tongan pa'anga against the US dollar, according to the news statement from the competent authority. Heads of governments, ministries and civil servants in Mavao are being trained on customs operations techniques. CEO of the Public Service Commission PSC, Dr. Valentina Langaoi, leads the workshop. Radio and Television Tonga's correspondent in Eafu Mavao Lutaviko Tapuelelo says participants are also trained on other working skills. This training is based on different tasks that civil servants performed in their respective ministries to benefit the people they serve. And that's the local news. Pacific is up next. From around the region, a face you don't want to let in your home, especially if you're a woman. Police have this clear image of a man they've just named as 36-year-old William John Murphy. He's been hunted for at least one of 7 home invasions in Auckland in 6 days. The latest one was on a 74-year-old in a pensioners village in Pakuranga. A short time ago, her daughter pleaded for help in finding her attacker. TVNZ reports.
These clear images of a man they've just named as 36-year-old William John Murphy.
These Pakuranga pensioner flats should be a 74-year-old woman's safe haven. Instead, they were the scene of a violent attack, every son and daughter's worst nightmare.
No one wants to see their mother or their grandmother looking like my mother does today. And I just want this person found.
Patricia Saws says she heard her neighbour's blood-curdling screams.
She had her hands tied and her face covered in blood and just screaming out, help me, I've been attacked.
Police say the man knocked on the woman's door, initially offering security advice. He forced his way in, tied her up and assaulted her before stealing cash and credit cards.
He got a knife to her throat and he just said, every time, shut up or I'll kill you, and threatened to keep on threatening to kill her.
Detectives believe this attack is linked to 7 others across Auckland since Monday. In the first, they say a 74-year-old woman was assaulted and robbed in her Remuera home. 3 days later, police believe the same man approached a 76-year-old Ottawa woman, a 97-year-old Takapuna woman and an 87-year-old Northcote woman claiming to be an undercover policeman. And over a 2-hour period, he also approached a 69-year-old woman in Westmere before breaking into the home of a 79-year-old, tying her up and stealing her money. Last night's Pakuranga case has police fearing lives are at risk.
Defenders' actions have escalated. This has started out as what we might say is prowling or handbag thefts, to when he has encountered occupants, to manhandling, pushing, and as of last night, beating an elderly lady.
And this is the face of the man police are hunting. They're so concerned about the escalating violence, they've named him.
William Murphy, also known as Willie. Mr. Murphy is 36 years of age.
Sylvie Vandergeer has this message for her mother's attacker.
Please stop. These are our elderly, these are our mums, these are our grandmums.
20 detectives across 3 police districts are working on the case. They say they won't stop until William Murphy is caught. Kate Lynch, One News.
Police say they have arrested a 26-year-old man after a shooting in Auckland. TV New Zealand reports.
Cordoned off the suburb of Arake around 1 o'clock and searched several homes, but were unable to find the man who was armed with a rifle. A witness told One News he heard a commotion before he saw another man bleeding from the head run down the street and collapse. Police say the shooting began as a domestic incident. The man shot was taken to hospital, but his injuries are not believed to be serious.
And that's the Pacific News. Sports is up next. In sports, Fiji clinched their first Pacific Nations Cup title with a 34-21 victory over Tonga in Tokyo on Sunday. The third victory out of 4 matches saw Fiji win the tournament for the first time, having finished as runner-up on 3 occasions since the competition began in 2006. Tonga took an early 11-0 lead at the Prince Gijibu Memorial Stadium in Tokyo with scrum half Thomas Palo slotting 2 penalties and right-wing Fraser Anderson scoring a try near the left corner in the 5th minute. Fiji left wing Ziveri Mbombo hit back with a solo try in the 23rd minute and Seremaya Mbai converted. Palo made it 14-14 at half-time with his 4th successful shot at goal, though he struck the left upright when awarded a chance to regain the lead with another penalty early in the second half. Fiji threatened the Tongan goal line several times and the efforts were rewarded by Mbai's penalty in a 55-minute for a 17-14 lead. In the 2nd minute, Santanemani Nandoro completed a passing play for a try near the post with Mbai converting it to stretch the lead to 24-14. Nalanga scored his 2nd try 5 minutes later, again converted by Mbai, and at 31-14, Fiji at briefing space added 2 by a 3rd Mbai penalty. Tonga gained some consolation when Brock Dionevere scored a converted try shortly before the end. With returning experienced internationals, including Andrew Hoa and Din Carter, the All Blacks had to work hard for their win and kicked on in the final quarter, much to Hansen's delight. New South Wales back rower Greg Bird says the Blues haven't given any consideration to wrap up the State of Origin series in Sydney, claiming the team's only focus in getting Queensland on enemy soil on Wednesday night, working in their way into positioning to win the game. Bill could be an option at 5'8" in Melbourne if James O'Connor's strong ball-running game is better suited to fullback, wing or inside centre. Shadowbacks Rapon, Luke Morahan, Nick Cummins and Joe Tomaine will all come into the selection equation, while it's hard to see Dean's calling Greg Cooper in from the Gold. New Zealand coach Steve Hansen conceded that France put his team under pressure despite winning 24-9 and clinching a series whitewash. Tries from Ben Smith and Buren Parrott wrapped up a 3-0 series win for the All Blacks in New Plymouth, but France were much improved from the side that received a 30-0 drubbing in Christchurch a week before. Fielding a side with returning experienced internationals, including Andrew Hoa and Din Carter, the All Blacks had to work hard for their win and kicked on in the final quarter, much to Hansen's delight. And the battleground for David Doer's make or break comeback fight against a colossal Russian-born challenger has been set for Hamilton. The international boxing event dubbed David on versus Goliath with a stage at Claude Lenz Arena on August 31st and is expected to bring a business boom to the city. Doer will clash with 36-year-old 2.05-meter tall Alexander Ushtanov, ranked at the 10th best heavyweight by the World Boxing Association with a record of 28 wins, 21 by knockout and 1 loss. It is considered 40-year-old Doer's last chance to impress after a disappointing draw and lost to American Monte Parrott in 2010 and 2011 respectively, which sent him into retirement. Many critics think Doer has lost his spark and should no longer be fighting, but he said his work ethic over the past 6 months has been unquestionable. And that's sports news. From further abroad, Brazil's president has appeared on television trying to quell days of protest that have been seen up to 1 million people taking to the streets. Dilma Rousseff unveiled a series of reforms, but still the protest continues, and now there are fears that the movement is splintering. BBC News reports.
The demonstrations, which have struck Brazil for more than a week now, show little sign of abating. Overnight in Sao Paulo, the airport was blocked for a while. People are still taking to the streets. The president appeared on primetime TV in an attempt to stop their momentum. She promised to spend all the country's new oil profits on education and to bring in foreign doctors to improve the health system.
People have the right to criticize or demand a better quality of life with passion, but they have to do it peacefully. We cannot accept a violent minority destroying public property.
Freedom of speech is presumably important to a president who was once imprisoned and tortured under Brazil's former dictatorship.
I just think that she's trying to calm down the people.
I don't know who the head of the movement is, so I don't know what they're thinking, and we have no direction because of this. We need a leader.
And that's been obvious at some of the demonstrations. People fighting amongst themselves. Opportunists, they're shouting, accusing political factions of trying to take advantage of the crowds.
We need a leadership that could find a way out of the streets. Otherwise, we could degenerate into more violence and rioting and the disengagement of people in those movements.
Protests are breaking out all over Brazil, some small, some large, some peaceful, others violent. They're being organized locally or by social networks. This emerging mass movement certainly has some momentum. The president has made her move and must now wait on high alert to see how the people react.
In Turkey, the Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan has likened the ongoing protests in Brazil to civil unrest in his own country.
As riot police again moved into Taksim Square with water cannon to move on thousands of demonstrators. They had gathered in the square for a memorial for 4 people killed during anti-government protests. The demonstrations erupted 3 weeks ago after the government announced plans to develop a nearby park.
And that's from further abroad, but here's a look at today's latest weather. Situation: a ridge of high pressure extends onto the group from the southwest, directs a cool south to southeast wind flow over Tonga. Forecast to midnight tomorrow for Tonga, light to moderate south to southeast winds. Fine apart from pre-flight showers, a temperature forecast for Nuku'alofa, minimum of 20 degrees Celsius for tonight. Marine weather bulletin: south to southeast winds 10 to 20 knots and slight to moderate seas. A moderate southwest swell. The tide predictions: high tide will be at 20 minutes past 8 o'clock, which is currently high tide for tonight. And that's the latest weather forecast, but before we part, here's a final look at today's top stories. His Majesty King Debo VI unveils Tabo High School's memorable plaque to mark Golden Jubilee. His Majesty King Debo VI will officially open the Free Wesleyan Church of Tonga's 90th conference this Thursday. More than 200 people selected under New Zealand's Pacific Access category for 2013. And that ends Television Tonga News Bulletin for tonight. For more on these stories, you can call us on 23556. Check out our website on www.tonga-broadcasting.net or join us on our Facebook page on Radio Television Tonga. Thanks for watching. Do join us again same time tomorrow evening. I'm Fatai Whainga'a. Good evening.